All right, so this brings us to the Guardian class. This is absolutely my favorite character. This is my bottom bitch. If I need something done and done right, this is who I bring out. So this is Ari Uchiha, I believe. I can't remember her last name. Um, yes, they are all women. Yes, they are all named Ari. I figured if I'm going to log X amount of hours into these games, I better have a nice little piece of something to look at, and Ari happens to be one of my favorite characters from League of Legends. But so let's get down to brass tacks here. Um, Ari, or excuse me, a Guardian is a heavy class. I currently run, and this is specifically when I'm running WVW or World vs World or World vs World vs Worlds or whatever you want to call it. In my opinion, it's much easier to play a heavy in World vs. World, specifically because you are taking a metric fuck ton of conditions and damage at any given time, and any way that you can negate some of that, um, it's important too. So I'll kind of let's get into the build here, and I'll kind of start breaking everything down for you, why and what, and all that kind of good stuff. So here we go with traits. So Zeal. I bring Zeal. Zeal can be changed into a few different things. If you want a little bit more protection, you go into Valor. If you're running this character for PvE, you probably wouldn't have this build anyway, so don't worry about it. But Zeal specifically because it increases burning damage against foes with Fiery Wrath. But a lot of my skills, or excuse me, my virtue down here, virtue of justice will ignite people, and so that's where that kind of comes in. I will use that in my greatsword when it comes out. Greatsword I tend to kind of reserve for PVE, but uh, it works in PvP a bit, and it works sort of well in WVW. It really works well if you have a couple different guardians working with you in WVW. A good group pool is always nice. Now, mind you, there's a lot of stability being thrown around in some of that, but you will catch a few people. It's better for havoc groups. Havoc groups being, small groups of people wreaking havoc on the map. And so so it works really well with that because if you have two or three guardians and you're all pulling at the same time, you can pull almost an entire group down if you hit all of the right targets. But it's also nicer because with that pool, using voice comms, you can also spike with that as well. However, the build that I is a frontliner. I'm a grunt. I grind. I am on the pin at any given time, and I am taking conditions off of people. Um, and that kind of works in a little bit down here where you come in with allies affected by shouts have conditions converted to boons. So I run a three shout bar down here. With shouts, not only am I negating conditions and converting them into boons, but I'm also giving protection. I'm also giving regen on health, stability, stability, stability. I cannot harp if you don't even listen to anything I had to say, but this listen, it's so important to have stability on your bar. It doesn't matter whether it's for PvE or if it's for PvP or if it's for WVW. Stability, stability, stability. It's probably one of the most important things that you can have on your uh, in the game, on any bar, on any character, in my opinion. And that's because if you're getting knocked down, if you're getting thrown all over the map, or whatever the case is, you're not putting damage out. You're not helping your team. You're not doing anything but just getting shit on. So that's why that's so important. Anytime, stability, it matches up with a few different things. I prefer to have, if you don't have a built-in speed boost in your traits, it's always important to have some sort of movement. It makes the game a little bit more bearable if you are moving faster than your stock speed. So stability is one thing I always try to keep on a bar. A speed increase is something I try to keep on a bar, and a condition remover. Conditions can add up, and when you are playing condition classes, thieves, mesmers, Necros, Rangers. I run a Condition Ranger. It's one of those things that it's super, super important because, utilizing it and not blowing your blowing your load on the first condition that comes, it can either help you or hurt you. If it's on cooldown all the time, it's probably not being utilized well. Um, you know, think about and it helps to kind of play other classes because you kind of understand when things are coming or what a rotation should be or what it would look like if you were playing it, because it's easier to predict. Say somebody's throwing a metric fuck ton of conditions on me. I know once the conditions slow down, I can clear 3 or 4 of them off with 1 or 2 different skills, versus using that one skill for one condition. Um, so moving on, you've got some more deal more damage while your endurance is full or is not full. You are dodge rolling all the time, dodge rolling or active rolling, whatever you want to call it. Specifically in WVW, you'll hear me reference it a lot because that's what I like to play the most. So it's one of those things that as you're rolling, you're rolling through wells, you're rolling through all kinds of things, and it is important to keep your vigor, as maxed out, as utilized as possible. um, you'll see later on where when I dodge roll, I actually am doing an AoE heal as well. So it definitely helps, in more ways than one, and it's really all about stacking all of these things to make a good synergy, for the playstyle that you like to play. I honestly feel like, yeah, obviously there's a meta game. There's a meta game in a lot of different things, and if you don't know what a meta game is, it is essentially the way that the developers or the balancing people are balancing the game. And so one week one skill will be buffed, and the next week it can get nerfed. And so the meta build or the best build is constantly changing. Right now it happens to be Dagger and Dagger um, Ellie's that are just way overpowered. Um, so keeping up with the meta game is relatively important, but in my opinion, playing the way that you want to play your character, playing and having fun and enjoying things is really what this is all about. Obviously, you're enjoying things when you're winning, more so than when you're losing. But yeah, it's just one of those things. So extra damage for each boon you have. You're also there's some more stability on there. You've got some virtue stuff and retaliation lasts longer, which is always nice, to stack some retaliation. There was a commander on Jade Quarry, which is the server that I'm on, Eld Saba, and he was really good at stacking retaliation. And when we were going head to head or even 2v1, because we're still bitter about that, in season one, it was we could pretty much fend off the entire mob by just having so much retaliation stacked. And then you've got some more virtue stuff. And so we'll move on to gear. Sorry, I tend to ramble on, and most of my gear is broken. But anyway, so I run PTV on my main gear stats, and so this character is my main, and I'm currently working on getting some ascended gear on there. But for now, it's all PTV, and I run soldiers, Superior Rune of the Troopers. Sorry, they just changed the name of it. And what that does is it shouts remove a condition from each affected player ally. So I am constantly ripping conditions off. I'm throwing boons on there for you. I am just a great frontline medic, tank, whatever you want to call it. The Trinity build isn't in Guild Wars, but I am consider me a paladin. I'm healing people. I am taking a metric fuck ton of damage, and yes, so it's a really fun character to play, especially if you want to get into WVW. And on my weapons, I run Superior Sigil of Energy and Sigil of Restoration. Gaining health at any point that you can, and especially in, once again, WVW, there are a lot of people dying at once, so you are constantly regenerating health. And a Superior Sigil of Energy, every time I switch my weapon, I'm getting more energy to dodge roll and help people, and reduce damage. And so my So I do have shaman, a shaman etched branch of energy, and of course I have the fancy skin because I'm a tool. And so essentially, this just gives me additional healing power on that bar. Oh, let me go back. So on that bar, your empowerment heals people. Your number two, your orb of light heals people when you detonate it, and your virtue resolve detonates, or excuse me, heals as well. Plus, in WVW, you're constantly trying to empower as giving a huge group buff. You're using symbols of wrath for speed while you're on the move, and it has a cone. I cannot tell you how important a cone is. A cone arc or a cone fire, or whatever you want to call it, for your number one, your Wave of Wrath. And so you can put out a pretty good amount of damage, and you can hit a pretty good size of group of people in WVW. This becomes extremely important when you start doing Twilight Arbor. Is the dungeon that this comes in super super handy. So you have to kill spores. Obviously you can check out a different video for that, but it definitely helps with that. Um, so I also run. This is my great sword that I do like to play. It's fancy, it's shiny, but it's superior sigil of bloodlust and restoration. I do not have it on the other one. So, and that is my build. Well, I will hopefully see you in the War Amongst the Guilds.